Hey, everybody, this is Anthony Hines. For the last 40 plus years, I've been trying to help people with their job search, trying to help people with their career. I'm here to help you to deal with challenges, to deal with the all of the challenges that come with being part of a job search and all the challenges that come with the ups and downs of the job search and the like. So that's what we're trying to do. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the world of AI and how you can navigate the world of AI so that you can benefit and potentially control the world and not be afraid. First of all, before I talk anymore, I want to talk about the star of the show. This guy is prime time. You've heard of Deion Sanders? Deion Sanders is no part prime time compared, and neither is his son, by the way. But Deion Sanders is no part prime time compared to Jamie Edwards because this guy is the greatest coach in America, and not just North America, Central America, and South America. So with that, I introduced Jamie Edwards. And Jamie, how's it going? What's happening? Let's go.
It's going well. Thanks, Anthony. I love the football reference with the NFL just starting and kicking things off underway. So, yeah, hopefully we get a good audience here today. We get some good questions in here. Let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, I'm Jamie Edwards, as Anthony introduced me already. I have my own career coaching business called Jam Sessions with Jamie. I've been doing this now for about a little bit over 3 years on my own. And I work with, as Anthony said, I work with people all across the world, everyone in the United States, to Central America, to Europe. I've worked with clients in all different career levels, different places, and I help people with 3 different things on their job search. I help people with resume writing, interview practice, and LinkedIn profile optimization. And I do this through a number of different Zoom calls. So basically what I do is I write resumes for people. I give them pre-work. I rebuild their resume from scratch. I do one-on-one where we go over their resume and we finalize everything and make sure it's ready to start applying to jobs. I do interview practice where I help people prepare for 3 different parts of the interview process, preparing for interviews, answering the easiest and the toughest questions during the interview process, and negotiating salary. And I put together notes for people. We do one-on-one calls where we practice these questions and we do mock interviews. Then I also do LinkedIn optimization. I help people revamp their entire LinkedIn profile and get it prepared so they can rebrand themselves and really showcase their personal brand to everybody on LinkedIn, not just recruiters and hiring managers, but get more visibility and get more people to look at their profile. So that's a little bit about what I do. I've worked with over almost 700 job seekers now throughout the 3 years that I've been doing this. I've got about an 89% success rate of getting people hired after we work together. And I love what I do. It's a passion of mine. I love getting people hired and getting people back on their feet and into the workforce. So that's a little bit about me. We got a great call here today. And, if you're on this call, please let's see some comments in here. Let us know where you're from and where you're joining the call from. And we'd love to hear some questions because that's what we're here to do, is answer some of your questions today about the job search.
Jamie, let's get right into the subject today that I'm really attacking because I feel that there is a feeling of terror out there regarding AI. So let's start with your experiences with AI and LinkedIn and how you deal with it.
So when it comes to with AI, I will tell you with AI, I think AI is great. I think there's a lot of things that are good with it, right? It's good for ideas. It's good for, if you're using it for ideas to write resume and different things like that. But a lot of people sometimes depend too much on AI. They use AI to try to rewrite their whole resume. Then it sounds like a robot. And then what happens is companies are getting smarter and they can tell when it sounds like a robot, right? Same thing with interview process. I've seen stories of people who have gone into interviews and they have Chat GPT right next to them, and people are asking them questions on the interview process, and they're literally taking their time to answer the question because they got to type it in really quick and they want to know how to answer the question. They're doing it on the Zoom call and trying to do it nonchalantly so the people don't know they're doing it. It's AI is really taken over our lives, but it's gotten to the point now where it's becoming too much and people are using it way too reliable and companies are snuffing it out. And if you're going to use AI in your job search, you have to use it in a way where it's good for ideas, but you should still have things and knowledge in the back of your mind on how to do certain things and have a human approach to how you answer questions in an interview, how you write certain things on a resume, how you do certain things on your LinkedIn profile. There has to be that human element still, because we were not programmed to be robots. We are humans with emotions and feelings, and you got to show those feelings.
So Jamie, as I said, there's a lot of things that get in people's heads during the job search process. As I say, we're talking a lot about AI tonight because people are terrified because they don't feel they can control any aspect of it, and it can be the deciding factor when they're involved in the job search process. Tell me what you tell your clients to help them get over the AI phobia.
So you just have to remember that it's a numbers game, right? There are a lot of applicant tracking systems that will filter people out based on how many, how well their keywords match the job description, or how well they answer certain questions, and then they're knockout questions where if you don't answer something correctly, you might not make it in the hands of a human being. But it's a numbers game. Every applicant tracking system is different, right? You can't worry about those things. I know people that really they spend too much time tweaking their resume when they see a job opportunity and they're like, oh, I got to apply to this job, but I got to make it look a certain way, my resume. And they spend too much time redoing it. And then what happens is all these people ahead of you are applying to the jobs, and they're already filtering people out. They're already figuring out who they want to interview. By the time you get your resume in, you might be the 70th or 80th person to get your resume in. And guess what happens? You might be the best person for the job, but they've already found somebody, right? Or they've already found people they want to interview. So you can't worry about those things. You have to have emotion. You got to come from the heart. You got to make your resume your own, and you got to apply to as many applications as possible, because it's a numbers game. There's too many people out there looking for jobs right now. You can't be picky and choosing. You have to not worry about those applicant tracking systems. You got to get in there and start applying.
So, Jamie, I've come across in trying to help a lot of people this paralysis analysis. I got to read my resume. I got to do it right. I got to tweak it. I got to make sure they do everything. How do you stop people from trying to be Mr. Perfect amateur resume creator, LinkedIn creator, and move them to Super Jamie, the greatest the greatest coach in North, Central, and South America? How do you actually stop them from that control mindset that they have to take over versus moving towards a professional like yourself?
What
How do
I
you do
do,
that, Jamie?
Well, when I do, it all starts with that discovery call, which obviously, it's in the event. And I do, everybody I work with, I tell people that you have to have an open mindset. What you're doing right now might not be working, right? As much as you think it could be working, I'm not saying that's your fault that you don't have a job right now. It's not. A lot of times you get laid off and things happen, or maybe you decide it's not a good place for you to work. But if you're in a job search for a while and you're spinning your wheels and you're doing different things and you keep applying, and nothing's working, and then 6 months passes by, 7 months pass by, and you're like, oh, it's not me, it must be the job market. Okay, that's true to an extent, but you have to have an open mindset and say to yourself, you know what? Maybe it is something that I'm not doing correct that I can do, different. Maybe there's something in my resume that's not right. Maybe I'm not using a good format. Maybe I'm not answering certain questions in the interview process correctly, right? You have to come to a realization, and sometimes you've got to swallow your pride and say, you know what? Let me at least see what other options I have out there. Let me see if there's a coach that can help me out with this. And let me see if I can, if it's something that makes sense for me. And I don't work, that's the thing is I don't work with anybody until I know that we've had a call together and they know the process and they know that the way that I do things for them. Right. Because I'm not going to be the best fit for everybody. There's might be other coaches that are a better fit. Right. But at least you have to have a conversation and you have to be open to it. If you're stuck in your ways and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and it just doesn't happen like that a lot of the times. So you got to have that open mindset.
How about, Jamie, how about the responsibility that job seekers have to do what you tell them, or to really take the action, to not question, to not come up with excuses, to actually jump in the pool and swim? I mean, how do you get people to do that? Because what I find is I get a lot of people when I talk to them, and I'm not a professional, but I'm somebody who's helps job seekers. I've heard every excuse in the book regarding what they cannot do or what they're not doing. How do you turn them into doers instead of
So you
talkers?
you get what you put in, right? So like some of my most successful clients that I've worked with took the information that I gave them, the notes, everything, and they applied them right away. They started applying them in their resume. They started applying them when they started getting interviews, things like that, right? You have to be open to trying new things. The hardest part is getting out of that mindset of like, this is what I'm doing over and over again, and then not wanting to do something new, right? You have to try different things. If you want to get hired faster and you want to give yourself a better chance to get back in the workforce, you've got to try new things. That's the biggest thing I tell people right off the bat when we work with each other is like, I'm going to teach you things that you might look at me and say, Jamie, these are things that I never would have thought about trying, or these are things that are just not me. Right. And to that, I say, they might not be you, but we're going to make those things you. I want you to see that when I teach you certain things and we do certain things during this career coaching, that, these things are going to open up different ways to get interviews. They're going to open up ways that you never answered questions in a job interview. And now you're trying something different. And that recruiter might say, this makes sense. I love the way they answered this question. You've got to be open to it because the job market changes so much. And if you don't change with the game, then you're not going to grow and adapt. You can't let the game change you. You got to change with the game.
Jamie, we have a question from Abhamadu that talks about how to get into the data science career world. What do you think about that?
It's kind of a very vague, kind of a vague question. How about data science career? Are you asking, Abhamadu, are you asking like, how do you get into a data science career? I mean, what is your, I kind of have to know a little bit more about your background and things like that to kind of know like what it is, what part of data science you're trying to get in and whatnot. But anything, I don't know what your background is, but anything that you've done, like you have to pick out the transferable skills, right? There's a lot of people who might be wanting to get into a data science career, and maybe there's people who got 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience. And let's just say somebody like Abhimanyu is only got a few years of experience. And he's saying, well, how do I get into a data science career when all these other people have more experience than me? It's all about how you portray yourself and what your resume looks like and how you jump into an interview and have that confidence, right? I've been hired at jobs in my career where I probably had no business being in that field because I didn't have the experience, but I came in with the good resume. I came in the interview as somebody who, what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody who had the confidence to say, you know what, it's my job to lose, right? I'm going to show that I'm the best person for this job. And I don't care that I don't have the experience as some of these other people do. I'm going to show that you hire me and I'm going to make an impact and I'm going to learn as much as possible. And I'm going to be a sponge to soak up whatever you bring my way. Right.
Um, right. Now, Jamie, as we enter the change of seasons, a lot of people are looking for a reason to feel motivated or to reset or to believe that things will change for them. Tell me about the change of seasons regarding the job placement world from summer to fall.
I think when it comes to fall and winter, we start becoming a little bit, the sun's coming down faster. Depending on where you live, it's getting a little colder out. You might be more lazier sitting at home and doing things because you don't want to go outside and whatnot. And then, what happens is that passes on to like your job search and maybe not doing so much. And you start thinking to yourself, well, it's getting to be the end of the year and companies aren't really going to hire as much as they were in the beginning of the year because usually at the end of the year, companies, they kind of close their books a little bit when it comes to hiring because they don't know what their budgets are for the new year, right? But that, even though a lot of those things are true, there are still opportunities out there. There are still companies hiring. And what better way when you're stuck at home and you don't want to go outside because it's colder outside or it starts getting dark earlier, what better way to spend time and put some time aside to learn as much as possible, to take a course, to find job fairs and networking opportunities that you can be a part of, right? You can still keep yourself busy and still do things to help you on your job search. It's just a matter of having that wherewithal and that motivation to be able to do so.
Well, Jamie, talk about the fact that people get to the finals and they don't get the job and they have to start over. I'm sure you've had people that you've dealt with that, or that people get offers rescinded after they even sign the paperwork, things like that. How do you get them back on track? Because it just happens so much.
Yeah, you just got to remember that. Well, first off, you got to celebrate wins the way they come through, right? So if you got to a final interview and you didn't get a job, you just got to understand that you got to that final interview, right? There were probably 100 people who didn't get to that final interview, and you did. So you've got to celebrate those wins and pat yourself on the back and be like, you know what? I did get here. And I'm going to get to the next level, which is going to be getting an opportunity next. You can't get knocked down. You got to understand that there's a lot of people vying for jobs and you're one person and all you got to do is get that one company to say yes and give you a job offer, right? And if it doesn't work out and you get a job offer and it gets rescinded, well, you know what? That's just God's way of telling you there's something better for you out there. Like, it's true. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's very true. We all find our place. We all find what works for us. And we all have a spot. We all have somebody who's going to look at us and say, I want you on my team. Right. And whatever it is, whether it's the company you've been going for a long time and one of your target companies, or it's a company you never thought about that you would ever work for, all you have to do is focus on that one yes and bring it back in. And if it doesn't work out with one job, get yourself back up, keep applying, don't give up, and don't go down that spiral of nobody wants me, nobody was going to put me on their team, because then you're going to start applying less. You're going to stay up late. You're going to be thinking about it at night. You're not going to get enough sleep. It's going to affect your health, and all those things are going to make your job search that much harder.
Free time could be your best friend. Free time can be your worst enemy, because the reality is, without that routine, it's up to you to create your daily routine. So, Jamie, what do people do to get off the computer, get away from the AI perception, and get out and create a routine to make them better job seekers? What do they do?
Once again, it comes down to keeping yourself busy, right? Go online and do a search of what's going on in your area. Look for volunteer opportunities. Create a stack of business cards with you. Carry resumes with you everywhere you go. Maybe you're running errands and you're doing something and you find a company out there, or you see something, or you never know. You might find just somebody who is hiring, and maybe you just see something and you have a resume on you or a business card. You say, hey, keep me in mind if you're looking for somebody who can do da-da-da-da. I have a lot of experience doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm currently looking for my new opportunity. I'm a free agent. I'm excited for my next opportunity. Like, bring that energy. You should always carry the same energy when you're traveling and you're going places as you would in an interview, right? Like the way you hear me right now. I project my voice. I speak with my hands sometimes. I'm excited to talk about things, right? That's the same way you should be when you're doing things and you're going places, is have that energy, be prepared. You never know who you're going to bump into when you're out and about doing things. And that one person you bump into could be the gateway to you finding your next opportunity.
Right, because the reality is you have to be your own solution. You have to be your own best friend. You have to be your own best advocate. The reality is you have to ask yourself sometimes, would you hire you based on the person that you're projecting when you interview? If you would not hire you because either you're being too timid, you're not being confident, your answers aren't strong, why would they hire you? So the first person you have to impress in the process is yourself. Once you do that, now you're on your way because you got one person in your corner. If you don't have yourself in your corner because you don't believe in yourself, you've got to reset and go back to get to the place where that self is its best advocate, right, Jamie? Because when you're in the room, as Thomas Hearns, the hitman who was the famous boxer, once said, when the bell rings, my trainer cannot help me. So that's exactly the truth, right, Jamie? When
That's
you're in
right.
the
It reminds
room,
me, yeah, it reminds me
nobody's
of
going to help you.
Yeah, it reminds you of career coaching. Like, when I'm working with you, I'm here to help you, right? Once I finally let you go after our coaching's done, it's all about what did you take and you applied to yourself, right? What did you take and how did you apply it in your own job search, right? I can be there to hold your hand as much as possible, but you got to have that confidence. You got to have that motivation, and you got to go out there and take the things. And when that bell rings, ding, 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 and you're out there, you gotta hit hard, hit fast, and get in there and start making waves in your job search, right?
Hit first. You got to hit first, right, Jamie? There's
Right.
no sitting back on the ropes. You got to hit first,
Hit
whether
first
it's
and hit hard.
MMA, WWE, or the World Boxing Federation. You got to hit first. That's how
Exactly.
you do it, right?
Right.
So, okay, Jimmy. So, tell me about some of your current clients. What about their progress, and what are you excited about regarding some of your current clients? Obviously, not names, but
Yeah.
what is progressing with some of these people that you can bring to a lot of the people that are watching today or that might even be watching after this event is posted? Why should somebody feel excited to take action to sign up for that discovery call right now?
Yeah, so I recently had a lady who she's a recruiter, and it's funny thing is I work with a lot of recruiters, right? Which is kind of funny when you think about it, because recruiters are looking at resumes all day long, right? But when it comes to their own resume, sometimes they don't just know how to write a resume a certain way, or they don't have time to do it, or they don't, they haven't had to write a resume in a while. So there's somebody who I worked with recently who is a recruiter looking for an opportunity, and she had me write her resume, right? And I actually did another a family member of hers resume as well. So now I was working with hers, and we finished the resume and we started applying to certain roles. And she started getting interviews right away with some big companies. I don't want to say the names of the companies, but they're pretty big on the Fortune 100 companies. And she told me, Jamie, I was not getting interviews with my old resume. Nobody was contacting me. It was being very discouraged. I started thinking, how did I earn all these years doing these things? And how come I cannot get an interview? And then all of a sudden you rewrote my resume, and I'm starting to get more calls from people. I'm starting to get people reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's what that does. Is I'm not just here to write your resume. That builds confidence, right? And confidence is such a key factor when it comes to a job search. When you have confidence and you're motivated and things are going your way, you feel like you're on top of the world, right? So that's like I said, we haven't found the opportunity yet, but we're getting a lot of interviews. We didn't do any other coaching sessions besides the resume. I think we're going to do the interview one. But that's a success right there. Another one of my clients recently just got an opportunity. And he was looking for an opportunity as a sales manager role. I did his resume and helped him with interview practice. He ended up recently getting a job as of a couple of weeks ago as a sales manager. And he's on his way. And he was so excited to tell me the news. and because he was out of work for almost 8 months, and he recently got an opportunity, and he was so excited. And once again, that just getting an opportunity, getting a job just changes your life, right? And what I'm trying to do is life changing. I mean, it really is. I don't say it. I'm not, I'm not some, big figure changing lives like a religious figure or anything like that, right? But I'm changing lives when it comes to people who need to get back to work. It's life changing. You don't realize it until you realize when you get back to work and you start making a steady paycheck and you get that first paycheck direct deposited into your account. That's what this is about. That's why I like what I do. And that's why I keep doing this, because that's something I've always done is like doing, is getting people hired and getting people into their next role.
Well, Jamie, you talk about uh, getting a job being life changing. Actually, it's life settling because it's providing the completeness that people need because they want to keep going and they want to progress in life and they want to realize that what they got, that them getting ahead. Because once that feeling that you're falling behind gets in your head, it can really break you. So, it's a real issue. And so you are doing things that are very important, but to the job seeker you're working with, it's really more than life changing. It's getting them back in the game. And
Right. Like they
that's
mentioned.
just huge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just
Getting back
huge.
into the game. Yeah, I like that. It really is, because when you're out of the game and you find yourself having more time at home, and you start thinking like, just there's too much free time at this point. It feels like every day I'm just applying to jobs. I'm getting nowhere. It feels good when you get hired again and you get back in the game and you start working with a good team and you have a good boss and a good leader, and you just feel more purpose, right? You feel
Right.
more, you feel more of a sense of passion when you wake up in the morning. You feel like a sense of fulfillment, right? And that's it. Just having an opportunity and working again just does wonders. It does. I mean, it's just it makes you feel good again when you're back and you have a purpose.
I'll be honest, Jamie. I was out when I was out for a while. And towards the end of it, before I got my position, and I luckily got it right after that, I used to hate hearing cars start up in the morning because they had somewhere to go and I didn't. That's how your brain works against you. I mean, people are afraid to talk about the state they fall into when they're not working because the the lack of answers, the quick rejections, the punches in the face, the punch in the stomach, and then the punch to the face. The reality is, it's just so hard to keep going. And especially now, when I bring up this whole AI thing, people have it in their head that no matter what they do, they're never going to be noticed. How do you fight that, Gene?
You mean like the mentality of people not being noticed?
Well, the premise that no matter what resume they put out, it's not worth it. It's a waste of time. I'm never going to get hired. They're never going to interview me. There's too many other people. What
Right.
am I going to do? And they're angry at their old company because they put them in this spot. It's all
Right.
their fault and blah, 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 blah. I gave you five. The reality is there's 10 more behind it. How do you get them out of that top spitting?
It's all about that attitude. Once again, it goes back to the whole, you can sit here and think no and no, 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 red, red, stop this. Like, you can start thinking about all those negative things. But once again, if you flip those things on their back and you just think to yourself, you know what? If I have all these rejections that I get and these things aren't working for me, like, those companies are missing out on me, right? Those companies are not going to get to see the work that I could have put into their company and the things that I could have done to make them excel, right? When you start thinking of it that way, and then when you start getting rejection emails, you start thinking that things aren't going your way. You start thinking to yourself, you know what? Those companies aren't worth my time anyways. The company that's going to be worth my time is the one that's going to say yes to me and that's going to bring me on board and that's going to feel good about their decision. And I'm going to give them 120% every single day. Your attitude is what affects your job search, right? The attitude is what keeps you going and what gets you up in the morning to put together a game plan and say, you know what? Today is going to be a great day. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how many jobs I'm going to apply to. Here's what I'm going to do to take breaks. You have your day planned out and you stick to that plan, right? And when you do those things, you stick to that plan, good things will happen.
Well, another thing I tell people, Jamie, is that when they hear about a giant layoff in a company, start applying in that company. Because every company, when they do the major layoffs, they cut too deep and they realize that, oh my God, we cut too deep. Let's get some people back in. So sometimes what I'll tell like project managers is, okay, maybe the company had a downsize and they let project managers go. Go apply there because they're going to realize about 2 weeks after they did it that they let too many project managers go. And even if they hire you on a contract, you're in. The fact is, even if you go to a company that has layoffs, that is decimated with full time employees getting laid off, they still have to get the work done. They're probably hiring contractors. Go in, look at Accenture, look at some of their contractors, find out what contractors they use. Maybe you can get a 6 month gig. Maybe you can get a 3 month gig. This is all most people need is that test. Give them 3 months and they're not going to be able to live without you. If you're as good as you say you are, if you're as good as you are when you were on your game and working, they're not going to be able to live without you in 3 months because you're probably going to do 5 things that nobody else is doing, which is another one of my secrets, which is what you get in, take all the projects nobody wants. Because guess what? It's hard to get rid of the person that's got all the stuff that nobody wants to do because nobody wants to do the stuff you got. It can be your biggest advantage. But my point is, don't run from companies that are laying off because right, Jamie, every company we know that lays off comes back in a month and says, ooh, we lost people that we didn't think we were going to lose because people resign because they say, whoa, I'm not going to do the work of 3 people.
Right.
They don't realize that they're going to lose some of their best people because they don't want to do the work of the 3 people that just got fired. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, it almost reminds you of that song. I think it was Janet Jackson said, "You don't know what you got till it's gone," right? And it's true because sometimes companies don't realize what they had until it's gone, right? And they get rid of people. And then I have seen it where they bring people back in, and then it's up to the employee, the person at that point if they want to come back into the company, right? But it's true. A lot of times they shave too much fat off of the company because they tried so hard to cut too much cost and then they're not productive anymore. Things start taking longer to get done. Clients start getting upset more. It all chain reactions, right? And they're like, you know what? Sure, we were trying to save money by cutting people in the business, but now we're really hurting ourselves big time, right? Then they try to bring people back and it happens sometimes. The CEOs just unfortunately, they might be CEOs for a reason and they got to their role for a reason, but they're not perfect in any way. And sometimes decisions are made and they backtrack on those decisions, just like the CEO who changed the Cracker Barrel label, right? Or the logo. She changed the logo. And what happened? What happened when she changed the logo? All their stock went down. People started pulling out of things. People started getting upset about it. And what happened? They reverted back to the logo, to the original logo. And by that time, it was almost too late. But once again, they didn't realize it until something happened. And that's the same thing when it comes to employees, is they let people go and then they bring them back when they realize that they cut too many people.
And that's why I always tell people, Jamie, stay in touch with the people from the old company. They may get a new contract. They may get a new client. They may have other people resign that they never thought would resign. They may have another department that had their eye on you that you didn't even know had their eye on you that would take you back if you applied for that role because your original role, because of the layoff criteria, maybe they can't bring you in back in that department, but other departments you could be eligible. The reality is, don't run away from your previous company. Stay around. Be the carrot. You know, let them see the carrot that you are. Let them see your new experience. Let them see your new certifications. Let them see your presence on LinkedIn. Let them go, you know what? Hey, maybe we can do something here as a contractor because then you're not coming back full time. Maybe legally it's a little bit different because you're not full time. These are things companies do all the time. And it can happen too regarding Doge and some of the government stuff. Now, Jamie, one of the top HR areas from usajobs.gov is in Chicago, your area. So the reality is, with all these people leaving with Doge, a lot of those people were not laid off. They early retired. And the fact is, go out to usajobs.gov. I bet there'll be a lot of jobs out there. People don't think to go out there because they think, oh, all the departments are skeletons, or all the departments there's nobody there. The premise is just because people are going out the front door doesn't mean people are not coming in the back door. So regarding AI and that premise, stay in touch with the people, and that will push you by the AI world into the people. The
Yeah.
people will get you noticed. The people, the resume, the people inside the company that they know, that you know, those are the people that get you noticed. Even if the AI rejects you, guess what? John just goes into HR and says, Jane is really good. Maybe you got rejected, but you want to look at her. I vouch for her. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, you're right. People are your golden ticket to a lot of times getting an opportunity too, right? I mean, referrals. Think about those, right? Like you can spend so much time trying to tweak your resume and still getting rejected, or you can spend your time connecting with other employees in the company that you want to work for. Maybe you're looking for a project manager role and you want to work for a company like Microsoft, and you connect with other project managers who currently work for Microsoft, and you reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'd love to connect with you. Also, I admire that you're a project manager for Microsoft because that's the company I'm looking to work for too as a project manager. Would you have 10 to 15 minutes of your time where I could just have a quick call with you and learn more about what you love most about working for Microsoft? How did you get your foot in the door? What are some of the things that I could do in my interview? I just would love to pick your brain for 10 to 15 minutes in an informational interview. Then you meet with that person. If they agree to have a conversation with you, you learn all the ins and outs. You learn the things that are working on, what's important. And then what happens is you ask that person for a referral and you say, hey, you know, I really appreciated your time. And, I know I saw an opening for a project manager role. I don't know if you'd be open to this, but, I really enjoyed our conversation. Hopefully you feel like I would be a good fit for the company. Would you mind putting a referral in for me and putting in a good word for me to somebody? If that person does that and they let you put their referral down in the job application, or they reach out to somebody who's hiring and they put your name down, you better believe you've just exponentially increased your chances of getting an interview, as opposed to the person who's just sitting down. They're spending a half hour redoing their resume over and over again, and it's the same thing. You need to think outside the box, and when you have somebody on your side who can vouch for you and refer you, that's like Willy Wonka and the golden ticket right there.
Jamie, what about the daily post on LinkedIn and how the algorithm, AI, the algorithm works for you on LinkedIn when you post at least once a week, usually 2 or 3 times a week? How does that help you on LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn rewards you the more that you post and the more that you talk about things that are important to job searching or important, that are professional, right? They reward people who are showing up and being active. It doesn't even come down to just posting. Like, for those people, there's three different types of people on LinkedIn, right? There's those who post every single day and they get people to talk about their posts, and they show up every day and they're active, and they put in their life there, they put it in their daily routine. Then you got those people who are just scrollers, and they will comment here and there on some people's posts. They might congratulate those if they're talking about how they got a new job, etc. They might comment once in a while. Then you got the looky-loos, I call them, right? Or the lurkers. They're the ones who just scroll the entire time on LinkedIn. They spend 45 minutes scrolling, but they don't leave a single comment on somebody's post. They never post themselves, and all they do is use LinkedIn to apply to jobs, right? You want to be somewhere between that main person who's posting all the time and somebody who at least comments on people's posts, because the way that your profile shows up to people, when there's that little section on LinkedIn that says connections you may know or people you might want to follow or whatever it is, your picture is going to show up on more people's news feeds and profiles when LinkedIn sees that you're making an effort to communicate with people. That can just be commenting on people's posts for 30 minutes a day. That can be making a post yourself every day or every couple days. Whatever you're doing and you're showing up, LinkedIn will reward you, and you will start not only showing up in people's news feeds more often, but they're going to show up as well too. And they're going to connect you to people that they feel like you would have a good connection with, who can possibly help you on your job search. It's a win-win for everybody. You want to make sure you show up as much as possible.
Jamie, what about posting in job search groups? Another way to get by AI, because you're going directly to your job search world. Tell me about that.
Yeah, job searching groups such as, Anthony's job searching group, or I see some others out there too, right? If you can get into as many job searching groups as possible with other people who are in the same boat as you, and there might even be job searching groups that have lurkers, aka recruiters and hiring managers, who might be looking for good talent too, and all you're doing is you're increasing your odds, right? It's like the casino, right? The more things you do and the better chances you have of getting the odds in your favor, right? So the more effort you put in, the better chance you're going to get of being seen and being heard and getting hired.
Right. Because the fact is, you don't know who is reading that, right? And as long as you're positive within those groups, people are going to notice. And also, Jamie, within your professional groups, if you're a project manager, a marketer, in your professional groups, staying active there, right, Jamie?
Right. Stay active in all those groups that you're in. I mean, just being active in general is a good thing, right? It's like being active exercising. When you're active and you're at least going out and moving around and doing things, it's better than not doing things and staying stagnant. It's the same thing in your job search, right? Being more active and putting yourself in more groups and getting more networking opportunities and job fairs and putting yourself out there is going to give you a better chance of getting hired than if you weren't doing any of those things.
Right. And the other premise, too, is that you may be helping someone else. Sometimes people are not able to say how they feel. They don't feel comfortable writing how they feel. And when somebody else does that, ask the question for them, you're not just asking the question for yourself. When you're on LinkedIn or you're in any social media, you have no idea how many people you're helping by asking those questions. That's another way to get by the whole premise of the worry of AI. You've got people behind you that want to know the answers. You're getting the answers. You're a real person. You're getting the real answers. So these are little basic things to help you understand that AI doesn't rule you. You rule you.
Yeah.
Right, Jamie? You rule you,
Yeah,
not
no, you're
AI.
right. And speaking of that, the best thing you can do in a job search also is, I always recommend is starting an accountability pod. And what I mean by that is find a small group of job seekers. They can either be people looking for the same type of opportunity as you, or they can just be people looking for different opportunities. Find a small group of 3 to 4 people, 4 to 5 people that you all can start a message thread on LinkedIn, and you can all update each other on how your job search progress is going. You can all set goals for each other. You can all set your own goals and hold each other accountable to them. You can all celebrate each other's wins when one person gets an interview or one person gets hired. That is a great way to just form a pact with other job seekers who know what you're going through. And it's another way to get your mental health good too, as well, on a job search, because now you've got a small group of people who you can rely on if you have trouble with something and you need to speak to somebody, or you just have to talk to somebody about something. You have questions about things, like you guys can share thoughts, share ideas, brainstorm different things. It's like having your own little group of everybody trying to accomplish the same goal, which is ultimately getting hired, right? So I always recommend a motivational pod or an accountability group, is what I like to call
Right. And what happens, Jamie, is that after those people get hired, as you stated, and what I say is have a weekly Zoom call where 200 people or 50 people get on the call and they all search for each other. But as they all get hired, they may not go to the call, but they're going to answer your LinkedIn request when you apply at their company because you help them to get their job. They may not be on that call every week, but they're a new contact that's going to help you if you reach out and apply. And let's even say you have a call, you started, and there's 50 people, and you're the last person to get a job. Well, guess what? You got 49 new contacts that you can hit up, all in these companies who have got a job. So your ability to get a job has probably just gotten easier because all of these people have gotten jobs.
Yeah, very true point. You're absolutely right. It's a really good way to think about it.
And even if you start with another 50 people, those people are new, and you teach them all about the call and all that stuff and whatever, the reality is when they get a job, now you've got 100 people that are in your corner. The point is, the process is not isolation. The process is being involved. The process is communication. The process is being out there with people in a community. The process is the common objective. The process is motivation. The process is positivity. The process is paying it forward. Secrets. These are things that have nothing to do with AI. These are things that you can do at 6:31 Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully you don't leave the call. After you leave this call, it gets in your brain. You can do it. Um, so, Jamie, let's go on. Talk a little bit more about some of your products and the services, what's going on, and um, why they're the best in all the Americas.
Yeah, so there's a lot of career coaches out there, and I always tell people to do their research before, obviously deciding who you want to work with, right? Because we're not all the same. Some career coaches charge thousands of dollars. I don't do that, right? I understand that people that are out of work need to spend their money wisely. And even though I have the accolades that I have over 170 recommendations. I've got worked with over 700 different job seekers. I'm aware that people still have bills to pay, right? They still got food to put on the table, right? I'm just one piece of the puzzle, right? So I try to keep my pricing very competitive for the amount of accolades I have and the successes that I have, because I want to give people the chance to work with a career coach. Because a lot of times the notion is, oh, they cost too much, or this, or they're not going to look out for my best interests. And that's another reason why I require the discovery call. And if you're looking to work with somebody who is going to get you and understand you and look out for your best interests, like, I'm not just flash in the pan here who I work with. I work with you, and then after we're done with our coaching sessions, you're never going to hear from me again, right? That's not how I operate. When you invest in my coaching services, and they're very hands-on, there's a lot of one-on-one that happens with them. There's a lot of notes and a lot of Zoom calls we do. When I invest in you and you invest in me, you have a career coach, I like to say, for life. Honestly, if you look at my website, you'll see on every single one of my pages, I have a guarantee. And that guarantee is to stay with you until you land your next opportunity. So even when our coaching sessions are done, I got clients all the time that call me and say, hey, Jamie, I got a job interview coming up in a couple days here. Do you have 5 to 10 minutes to jump on a phone call with me? I want to pick your brain, ask you a few questions, make sure I'm fully prepared. Sure. Let me know what works for you. You call me, I can be there for you, right? That's the difference. A lot of coaches don't do that. They call them one and done coaches. You work with them, you pay them for a favor, they do the job for you, and then you never hear from them again unless you're going to pay them more money. That's not how I do things. I want to be the last career coach that people ever have to work with, and I want to be that one person who's in their corner the entire time, right? That's something that really separates me. I'm not sitting there trying to sell myself. I mean, it might sound like that, right? But the truth is, like, this is like I said, I'm super passionate about this. I've worked with so many different people from so many different areas, so many different career paths, so many different industries, so many different age groups, right? I've worked with people that are college grads all the way up to people who are senior VPs of companies, right? That's what I love doing. This is why I do what I do. And this is why we do this call every week. And, this is why I stay busy and why I continue to have discovery calls with people every single day, because it just kind of lets them see what career coaching is like.
Right, because you're not someone that's going to beat on them. You're someone that's an advocate for them. You're someone that's going to make a difference for them. You're
Right.
someone that's going to help to make it happen. So, Jamie, regarding a recruiter looking for a job versus somebody else looking for a job, how is that different? Because it seems to me it's like teaching a lifeguard how to swim. You know what I mean? I mean, do you get a lot of pushback from them? Are they the ones that give you the most, resistance because they're recruiters? I mean, it just seems like it's kind of a
Yeah,
vortex.
sometimes you get that. Sometimes, they're like, well, I'm just looking for quick questions, and I just want to talk to you and pick your brain. And I'm like, well, let me see your resume. They're like, well, I know my resume is good because I'm a recruiter myself and I do this. And then it's kind of like a reality check when you talk to them, you start pointing things out and you start showing them different things. And then they start kind of, first thing, sometimes they might be a little defensive and say, whoa, like, I showed this to other recruiters that I know, and they said that everything looked good and this and that. And I'm like, look, that's fine. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not here, I'm not trying to slam you. Yeah. I'm not trying to slam you for your resume. I'm just giving you constructive criticism. You came to me asking me questions. Like, I'm trying to give you advice, right? And if you can't take that advice and you're going to be so defensive about it, how can I even try to help you out, right? That's where it comes back to that mindset, having that open mindset that, hey, let me just hear this guy out and see what he says. And then after we're done having a conversation, I can take all the information and I can regurgitate it and I can think about it. That's something I want to move forward with.
Jamie, what about informational interviews? And what about using people that are in HR or recruiters that or went to college with for practice? How is that important?
Oh, it's super important. Like I said, when you have somebody on your side that you can connect with, like I said, that's why the informational interview with another employee of a company is so important, because they've been there before. They interviewed for the role. They might even remember some of the questions they were asked, right? They might even know the recruiter personally that you're going to interview with, and they can prep you on it, right? Informational interviews go a long way because it really gives you a fast track to what the company is going to do in the interview and how they're going to handle certain things and what are some of the questions they're going to ask. I love informational interviews. I think they go a long way. And I think you really, you kind of get a backdoor way into the company by doing them.
Right. And have you ever found that somebody who gives informational interview actually hires a person? Have you ever found that to happen?
I mean, not maybe directly, but I know that when you have an informational interview, someone they become that bridge to the person who actually hires, and um their input and their their recommendation of the person was the deciding factor to that person getting hired. So they might not be the direct person that makes the hire, but you better believe that they are that golden what's the word? The golden road or whatever, right? The yellow brick road, like in Wizard of Oz. They are the golden road that gets you to that hire.
Right, and that's the premise. That's the way it is. So, um, Jamie, we got 5 minutes left. What what can you tell people in the next few minutes to make a difference for them so they're not afraid of bots, they're not afraid of AI, they're not afraid of the news they're hearing, they're not afraid of ChatGPT. Tell them how to use these things to make things better for themselves.
Get yourself ideas, practice, practice, practice. Do things in a mirror. If you're interviewing or practicing for an interview, look in a mirror and answer the questions and see how your body language is, see how you enunciate certain things. Just practice and don't give up. That's the main thing. Just because you get knocked down, it's only building you up to make you stronger. Remember that. That's all the job search is. It's not, nobody is to take offense to anything. Companies are going to do what's best for them. You got to do what's best for you. If they didn't hire you, no big deal. You move along and you let them hire who they want to hire. And then guess what? If that hire doesn't work out, well, they missed out on you and you're already taken by a good company. Just keep moving forward and don't give up and keep pushing on your job search.
Companies are going to tell you that they are doing what's best for them, but in reality, a lot of companies don't know what's best for them. They think they know what's best for them because the big consultant that they hired that is they're paying a lot of money of telling them how to cut costs that won't be around when the actual stuff hits the fan and the feeling of the cuts are there. That is one thing. But companies realize sometimes we're not so sure that consultant told us the right thing for our company. You know, the consultants will tell you what what they have in their box, what their recipe is. But a lot of companies find out afterwards it wasn't what was right for our company. That's why stay in touch with your old company. They may call you,
It's
right? And
true.
that's nothing to do with AI because they know you and they know what you can do, and you might be able to help them out of a tough situation that did not exist when you were let go.
It's
And
true.
that's really what works. And Jamie, what about your LinkedIn profile? Tell me about the value of continually updating your profile and how that works in the LinkedIn algorithm for you.
Yeah, you should always want to make sure you have a compelling headline. Obviously, a headline that has keywords in it talks about what you're doing currently. What are some of your competencies? You want to put as many keywords in there. So obviously, when recruiters are searching for people, they can type in those keywords and your profile pulls up. You also want to make sure that you have a banner. If you don't have a banner, right, or even something up there, like that's the first thing people see when they go to your page, right? You want to have something up there. You can easily make a banner in Canva. I mean, when I work with people on their LinkedIn profiles, I create banners for them. So I do all that work so you don't have to worry about
Oh,
it,
the
right? So
spotlight, Jamie. I forgot about the spotlight. My favorite Jamie thing. Tell him about the spotlight, Jamie.
yeah, so
That thing
that's
is
part of the jam
awesome.
sessions with Jamie, right? Is I always put, anybody I work with, I put a spotlight on them. And what I mean by that, it's called the spotlight post, right? And what it is I will take your background, I'll cover you both personally and professionally. And no matter who I work with, I will make sure that I highlight you on my LinkedIn page. That comes included with all my coaching sessions. So I'll highlight you on my LinkedIn page. I'll feature you at the top of my page. I will point out the different jobs you're looking for. I'll talk about some of your accomplishments and some of your accolades. And I will make sure I try to tag some of my recruiter people that might be looking for somebody like you. So that's a big thing. I mean, I have almost, 35,000 followers, right? And you never know. All it takes is one of those 35,000 people to reach out to you and say they have an opportunity for you. And then you get an interview and you ultimately get an opportunity possibly. So that spotlight post is one of the big things that my clients love about working with me, is that I do that as an extra add-on to all the sessions.
Well, Jamie, I'm going to tell you, when you go out to LinkedIn, you're going to find a couple of people have. So one person gave us a big giant heart, and other people liked it. We had a lot of people that were involved, and I'm thinking you're going to get some people calling you, even though they didn't seem to have a lot of questions tonight. We seem to run in streaks, right, Jamie? Where we get question after question after question after question. Then other times we don't get a lot. So I'm ready either way on that. But
Yeah,
we're gonna
it's
reschedule this for another time. Think about what times work for you, and remember, if we move it to different times, we get different people.
yeah.
So there's nothing negative about that. So um, think about how you want that to go, and we'll go from there.
That sounds good. Yeah. Hopefully those were on the call. If you got any questions after the call, feel free to send me a message, send me a connection request, follow my LinkedIn page, because I post job searching advice and stories and different things and authentic content. So I'd love to have you as part of my network. And ultimately, if you have that open mindset to wanting to work with a career coach and you want to continue this conversation further, you can go to my website, jamsessionswithjamie.com. You can also schedule a discovery call at the top of my LinkedIn page. You can also follow Anthony on YouTube, and all his is it Patreon you have, I think, right?
Actually, it's Podbean. That's where my podcasts are. But the YouTube has two different levels. It has a membership level where you get the best of the greatest hits. You get all the best stuff I have, the stuff that nobody ever thinks of, and you
Right.
have the free stuff to help you stay on plan. But
Yeah, and
thanks for bringing it up.
Jennifer just said thanks for hosting and talking. So see you. We got people watching. We got lurkers in here watching. Jennifer didn't ask a question, but she was listening the whole time, and she said thank you for hosting and talking. So Jennifer, appreciate you joining our call. Hopefully we're connected, and if not, send me a connection request. If I can help you with a job search in any way, don't hesitate to reach out.
And just remember, everyone, we are here for you. We don't have to do this. We do this because neither one of us ever forgets what it's like when people are not calling you, when you get ghosted, when people promise they'll help you, when people say they're going to do a lot for you, when people say, don't worry, I'll get back to you. This is a done deal. And all that's ever done is they're done communicating with you. So the reality is, this is what drives us to help people never to feel that feeling again. Right, Jamie?
Right, exactly. So yeah, we'll figure out a couple weeks from now when we want to do the next one. Make sure you're following us both, so when that event goes up, you can easily go ahead and enroll in the event so you don't miss it, and let other people know too. And we'll be doing this again here in the next couple weeks or so.
Final secret, Jamie, final thought to let people take action and make you unforgettable. What do you got?
Yeah, once again, like I said, it's just a matter of just keep putting your foot down, keep moving forward. Don't let the no's get to you. Focus on the one yes. Remember what that end goal is, and don't stop until you reach that end goal.
Do not count your applications. Remember, you're only looking for one yes.
There you
That's what
go.
you're looking, the number one. And you never forget that you are also the person you see as number one. Be your own
Amen to that.
solution. Be number one. Look for the one yes. Never forget the number one. Everybody have a great day. And Jamie, thanks for your time. And we'll be talking about our next event. It'll be fun. Have
It
a great
will.
day.
Sounds good,
Rock
Anthony.
on.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Go Bears, right? Go Bears.
Actually, I think I might have told you this before, but I'm a Packer fan actually.
Oh, so
So I'm not. So the fact that the Bears lost that game yesterday, I mean that was typical Bears fashion, blowing a 20 scoring, letting the Vikings score 21 points in the fourth quarter. I mean that was typical Bears fashion. But I grew up a Packer fan, so that's that's my team.
congratulations on Micah Parsons for nothing. That's a great
Yeah, that was
deal.
crazy. I didn't expect us to get him, but I think that's going to be a huge move, and I'm excited to see how he does during the season.
Great player. A gift from Santa. Santa Jerry Jones. A great gift from him. Have a
Uh,
great day. Bye bye, Jim. Bye
See
bye
you
now.
later. See you,
Rock on.
everybody.
Bye bye.